I need you to stop what you're doing and listen to me right now. Not in 5 minutes. Not after you finish whatever else you're watching. Right now. Because what I'm about to tell you could literally, and I mean literally, not as a figure of speech, save your life before the end of this year. There is a simple 2-minute habit you can do in your kitchen tonight, before bed, using something you probably already have at home or can pick up at any grocery store for less than $8, that research shows lowers blood pressure faster and more effectively than most seniors realize is even possible. 2 minutes. Your kitchen. Tonight. And within 4 to 6 weeks of doing this consistently, your blood pressure could drop by 15, 20, even 25 points. Some of my patients have seen their numbers drop 30 points. Others have been able to reduce their medications under their doctor's supervision. Some have gotten off blood pressure pills entirely after being on them for 10, 15, even 20 years. But before I tell you what this habit is, I need you to understand something that's going to make you angry. Really angry. The kind of angry you get when you realize someone has been lying to you for years. Your doctor knows about this. The research has been published for decades. Multiple studies. Major cardiology journals. Peer-reviewed, rock-solid science published in the Journal of Nutrition, the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition, Hypertension Journal, BMJ, The Lancet. This isn't fringe science. This isn't some alternative medicine theory. This is mainstream, published, replicated research that any doctor with an internet connection could find in 30 seconds. And nobody told you about it. Not your doctor. Not your cardiologist. Not your pharmacist. Nobody. Why? I'm going to tell you exactly why in a few minutes. And when you hear it, you're going to understand why I'm so passionate about making these videos. Why I spend hours researching and creating content that I give away for free. Because somewhere out there right now, there's a 70-year-old woman sitting at her kitchen table, organizing her pill organizer, taking her 3 blood pressure medications, feeling dizzy and exhausted, wondering if this is just what getting old feels like. And the foods that could help her, the foods that could change her life, are sitting in the produce aisle of her local Walmart, 90 feet away from the pharmacy where she picks up her prescriptions. That woman might be you. She might be your mother. Your father. Your spouse. And what I'm going to share with you today is information that should have been given to you years ago. But first, I need you to understand what's happening inside your body right now. Tonight. While you're watching this video. Because most seniors with high blood pressure think they're fine. They think their pills are handling it. They think the numbers on the blood pressure cuff are the whole story. They're not. The damage happening inside your body right now, silently, painlessly, invisibly, is far more terrifying than most people realize. Margaret's story, the woman who was disappearing. Let me tell you about Margaret. Margaret was 72 years old when she first walked into my office. She'd been on blood pressure medication for 11 years. Started with 1 pill at age 61. Her doctor told her it was just a precaution. Her blood pressure was 138/88. Nothing to worry about, he said. Let's just get it under control. So Margaret took her pill every morning without fail. She was a good patient. Compliant. Obedient. She did exactly what she was told. But Margaret's blood pressure kept climbing. 142/90 a year later. 148/92 the year after that. Her doctor added a second medication. Margaret took both pills every morning. Still climbing. By the time she came to see me, Margaret was taking 3 blood pressure medications. 3 pills. Maximum doses. And her blood pressure was still 156/94. Still dangerously elevated. Still climbing. Her doctor was recommending a 4th medication. But here's what Margaret was actually experiencing. Things she'd never connected to her blood pressure or her pills. Things that were quietly destroying her quality of life while everyone focused on the numbers. Margaret couldn't sleep. Not really. She'd lie in bed for hours, mind racing, body tense. When she finally fell asleep, she'd wake up 3, sometimes 4 times during the night. Not to urinate, her mind would just jolt awake, like something had startled her, like her body was stuck on permanent high alert. She couldn't remember the last time she'd slept through the night. Couldn't remember the last time she'd woken up feeling rested. Every morning, she'd drag herself out of bed, exhausted before the day even began. Her body felt heavy. Her limbs felt like they were made of lead. Just getting to the kitchen to make breakfast required effort that seemed absurd for a woman who'd once walked 5 miles a day without thinking about it. She used to love gardening. Loved being outside. Loved the physical work of it, the dirt under her nails, the satisfaction of watching things grow. She hadn't touched her garden in over a year. Not because she didn't want to. Because she simply didn't have the energy. By noon, she was ready for a nap. By 3 in the afternoon, she could barely keep her eyes open. Her hands trembled sometimes. Not badly. But enough that she noticed. Enough that she was embarrassed to eat dinner with friends. Enough that she'd stopped inviting people over for meals because she didn't want them to see her hands shake while she served the food. And her memory. God, her memory was failing her. She'd forget conversations she'd had just hours earlier. She'd forget whether she'd taken her medications, then panic and take them again, not sure if she'd already taken them or not. She'd forget her sister's phone number. A number she'd dialed 1,000 times. She'd forget words mid-sentence, standing there with her mouth open, trying to pull a word from somewhere it used to be. Her husband Tom noticed too. She'd catch him looking at her with worry in his eyes, and she knew what he was thinking. He was thinking about her mother. Margaret's mother had dementia. Spent her last 4 years in a nursing home, unable to recognize her own children. Unable to remember her own name some days. Margaret was terrified she was following the same path. And her blood pressure was still 156/94. Despite 3 medications. Despite doing everything her doctor told her to do. Margaret sat in my office and cried. Not dramatically. Just quietly, tears running down her face as she told me what her life had become. I feel like I'm disappearing, she said. I feel like every day, I'm a little less of who I used to be. And nobody can explain why. Nobody even asks me how I'm feeling. They just check my blood pressure and write another prescription. I took Margaret's hand, and I told her something no doctor had ever told her in 11 years of treatment. Margaret, we've been looking at this all wrong. Your blood pressure isn't the problem. Your blood pressure is the warning signal. Something is broken inside you. Something fundamental. And we've been trying to silence the alarm instead of fixing what set it off. What your blood pressure numbers really mean. Now, I want you to stop for a moment and think about your own blood pressure numbers. When was the last time you felt truly energetic? Not just okay. Not just managing. But actually energetic. Alive. Ready to do things. When was the last time you slept through the entire night without waking up? When was the last time you felt sharp? Clear-headed? Like your brain was working the way it used to? If you can't remember, your blood pressure medications might be part of the problem. Not the solution. And here's what nobody tells you about those numbers on the blood pressure cuff. Those numbers, 120/80, 140/90, 160/95, those are not the disease. Those numbers are your body trying to tell you something is wrong deeper down. Your blood pressure doesn't just randomly go up. It's not bad luck. It's not just genetics. It's not part of getting old. Your blood pressure goes up because something in your body is damaged. And when I ran the tests on Margaret that standard blood pressure treatment never includes, when I actually looked at what was happening inside her blood vessels, what we found painted a picture so clear, so obvious in hindsight, that I was angry nobody had looked before. Margaret's body was in a state of chronic inflammation. Her endothelial cells, the cells lining her blood vessels, were severely damaged. They weren't producing the substance they need to produce to keep blood pressure healthy. A substance called nitric oxide. And without adequate nitric oxide, her blood vessels couldn't relax. They stayed tight. They stayed constricted. No amount of medication could fully override that. #### the real cost of blood pressure medications. Now, before we go any further, let me ask you something. If you're on blood pressure medication right now, type on meds in the comments. I want to see how many of you are dealing with this. And if you're on 2 or more blood pressure medications, type multiple meds. Because here's what I need you to understand about those medications. I'm not telling you they're evil. I'm not telling you to stop taking them. Never stop taking blood pressure medication without your doctor's supervision. That can be dangerous, even life-threatening. But I am telling you that those medications are not fixing the problem. They're managing a symptom. They're forcing your blood vessels to dilate using chemicals. They're making your kidneys dump fluid. They're blocking calcium channels or blocking beta receptors or inhibiting ACE enzymes. And while they're doing that, they're causing side effects that are quietly stealing your quality of life. Let me tell you about the side effects nobody warned you about. The ones that don't show up on the little pamphlet that comes with your prescription. Fatigue, not just tired. Not I need a nap, tired. Deep, bone-crushing, can't get out of bed exhaustion that never goes away no matter how much you sleep. Dizziness, getting up from your chair and feeling like the room is spinning. Bending down to tie your shoes and having to steady yourself against the wall. Being afraid to walk downstairs because you don't trust your balance. Brain fog, feeling like your thoughts are moving through molasses. Forgetting why you walked into a room. Losing track of conversations. Feeling like you're not quite all there. Depression, a heaviness that settles over everything. Loss of interest in things you used to enjoy. A sense that life is just something to get through rather than something to live. Sexual dysfunction, this one nobody wants to talk about. But it's real. And it's devastating to relationships. And it's a direct side effect of many blood pressure medications. And here's the really infuriating part. When you go back to your doctor and tell them about these side effects, what do? They prescribe another medication to manage the side effects. Feeling depressed? Here's an antidepressant. Can't sleep? Here's a sleeping pill. Dizzy all the time? Let's adjust your dose or add a different blood pressure medication to balance it out. More pills. More side effects. More money out of your pocket. And if you're on Medicare Part D, you know exactly what I'm talking about. You know what it's like to hit that coverage gap every year. That donut hole where suddenly you're paying full price for your medications. Where your $20 copay turns into $200 a month because you've exceeded your coverage limit. You know what it's like to choose between your medications and your groceries. Between your pills and your grandchildren's birthday presents. And all the while, the foods that could actually help you, the foods that could address the root cause of why your blood pressure is elevated in the first place, are sitting in the grocery store, costing less than a single month of blood pressure medication. #### the pharmaceutical system that profits from your illness. Now, I promised you I'd tell you why your doctor never mentioned this. Why nobody told you about the simple dietary changes that could transform your blood pressure. And here's the truth. Your doctor isn't evil. Most doctors genuinely want to help their patients. They went into medicine because they wanted to make a difference. They wanted to save lives. But the system they work within has been designed, very deliberately designed, to prescribe medications rather than to teach you how to heal yourself. Think about your last doctor's appointment. How long was it? 15 minutes? 10 minutes? I've had seniors tell me their blood pressure check was 5 minutes. 5 minutes. The medical assistant took their blood pressure, the doctor came in, looked at the numbers, adjusted the prescription, and left. No conversation about diet. No questions about what they're eating. No discussion about sleep, stress, or lifestyle. Just, your numbers are still high. Let's increase your dose. And it's not because your doctor doesn't care. It's because they have 12 more patients to see that hour. It's because insurance companies reimburse them based on the number of patients they see, not the amount of time they spend with each patient. It's because they were never trained in nutrition in medical school. The average doctor gets fewer than 20 hours of nutrition education in 4 years of medical school. 20 hours. In 4 years. They can tell you the mechanism of action of 30 different blood pressure medications. They can describe the renin-angiotensin-aldosterone system in exquisite detail. But they can't tell you how foods affect nitric oxide production. They were never taught that. And here's the part that should make you really angry. The pharmaceutical industry spends billions of dollars every year marketing medications to doctors. They send sales representatives to doctors' offices. They sponsor conferences and medical education programs. They fund research studies. They advertise directly to consumers on television. How many billions of dollars does the spinach industry spend marketing to doctors? 0. How many drug reps from the beetroot juice industry are visiting cardiologists to talk about the research on nitric oxide production? None. The system is set up to prescribe pills. Pills generate revenue. Pills create repeat customers. Pills require follow-up appointments, lab monitoring, dose adjustments. Eat more spinach doesn't require a follow-up appointment. It doesn't generate revenue for pharmaceutical companies. It doesn't create a patient who comes back every 3 months for a refill. And so you end up sitting in your kitchen, taking 3, 4, 5 medications, feeling worse every year, wondering why nobody ever told you there might be another way. That ends today. Now, before I tell you what the 2-minute kitchen habit is, you need to understand what's happening inside your blood vessels. Because if I just tell you drink this or eat that, you'll try it for a week, get bored, and stop. But if you understand why it works, if you see what it's actually doing at a cellular level, you will never stop doing it. Because you'll understand that every time you skip it, you're choosing damage over healing. And once you see that clearly, you can't unsee it. #### Your blood vessels are under attack. Right now, as you're watching this video, something is happening inside your blood vessels. Something most people never see. Never understand. Never even know is happening. Your blood vessels, every artery in your body, from the biggest vessels near your heart down to the tiniest capillaries in your fingertips, are lined with a layer of cells called the endothelium. 1 cell thick. That's it. One single layer of cells, thinner than tissue paper, separating your blood from the walls of your arteries. Now, you might think these cells are just sitting there. Passive. Like wallpaper. But they're not. These endothelial cells are working every single second of your life. They're constantly producing chemicals that regulate how your blood vessels behave. How they expand. How they contract. How flexible they are. How healthy they are. The most important chemical they produce is something called nitric oxide. Say that name out loud. Nitric oxide. Remember it. Because this is the single most important molecule in the story of your blood pressure. Nitric oxide is a gas. It's produced by your endothelial cells, and it diffuses directly into the smooth muscle cells that surround your arteries. And when it reaches those muscle cells, it tells them one thing. Relax. Open up. Let the blood flow. When your endothelium is healthy, nitric oxide production is strong. Your vessels stay flexible. They expand when they need to. They contract when they need to. Blood flows easily. Blood pressure stays normal. Your heart doesn't have to work overtime. Everything functions the way it's designed to function. But when your endothelium becomes damaged, and this is what's happening in your body if your blood pressure is elevated, nitric oxide production drops. It can drop by 50%. Sometimes more. And when that happens, your blood vessels lose their ability to relax properly. They stay tight. They stay narrow. Blood has to squeeze through constricted tubes. Your heart pumps harder to move it. Blood pressure rises. This is happening in Margaret's body. This is happening in the bodies of millions of seniors right now. And this is happening in your body if your blood pressure is elevated. Your endothelium is damaged. Your nitric oxide is low. Your vessels are constricted. And blood pressure pills cannot fix this. They can force your vessels open temporarily. They can make your kidneys dump fluid. But they cannot heal your endothelium. They cannot restore nitric oxide production. They are band-aids on a wound that needs stitches. ####, what's destroying your blood vessels, and your doctor never explained this. So what's damaging your endothelium? What's destroying these critically important cells? Let me tell you, because this is crucial. This is the part where everything starts to make sense. High blood sugar damages it. Every time your blood glucose spikes, and if you're eating refined carbohydrates and sugars multiple times a day, your blood glucose is spiking multiple times a day, toxic molecules called advanced glycation end products form. We call them AGEs. These AGEs attack endothelial cells directly. They make them stiff. They reduce their ability to produce nitric oxide. They accelerate aging at a cellular level. That white bread you had with breakfast? It's attacking your blood vessel lining. That cookie you had as a snack? It's attacking your blood vessel lining. That pasta you had for dinner? It's attacking your blood vessel lining. Multiple times a day, every day, for years. Chronic inflammation damages it. Inflammatory molecules circulating in your blood, things called cytokines, things like TNF-alpha and IL-6, are constantly assaulting your endothelial cells. They make them dysfunctional. They reduce nitric oxide production. They create an environment where your blood vessels cannot heal. And what causes chronic inflammation? Poor diet. Lack of sleep. Chronic stress. Excess belly fat. Gut problems. Processed foods. The modern American lifestyle is an endothelium-destroying machine. Oxidative stress damages it. Free radicals, those unstable molecules that steal electrons from healthy cells, attack your endothelium relentlessly. They damage the very machinery that produces nitric oxide. And what increases oxidative stress? Everything I just mentioned. It's all connected. Everything feeds everything else. High blood sugar creates inflammation. Inflammation creates oxidative stress. Oxidative stress damages your endothelium. Your damaged endothelium can't produce nitric oxide. Without nitric oxide, your blood pressure rises. It's a vicious cycle. #### The damage accelerates with age. This is why it gets worse every year. And here's the part that nobody tells you, the part that explains why your blood pressure keeps creeping up year after year even though you're taking your medications faithfully. By the time you're 65 or 70, your endothelium has already been damaged for years. Maybe decades. You never felt it happening. You never got a warning. Blood pressure crept up so gradually you barely noticed. One year it was 130. Next year 135. Then 140. Then 148. Then 155. Each number looked manageable. Each number got another prescription. But underneath those numbers, your blood vessels were quietly losing their ability to function properly. And the terrifying part, the part that makes this a race against time, is that the damage accelerates with age. Your endothelium becomes more vulnerable as you get older. Less resilient. Harder to repair. Your body produces less nitric oxide naturally as you age. Even if your endothelium were healthy, production would be declining. So if you're not actively doing something to heal it, if you're not actively giving your body what it needs to repair endothelial damage and boost nitric oxide production, it keeps getting worse. Year after year. Pill after pill after pill. But here's the good news. The news that should fill you with hope. Your body can repair endothelial damage. Let me say that again. because this is the most important sentence in this entire video. Your body can repair endothelial damage. The cells can regenerate. Nitric oxide production can increase. Blood vessels can become more flexible again. Studies have shown this clearly. In people who made specific dietary changes, not medications, not supplements, just food, endothelial function improved measurably within weeks. Blood vessels became more responsive. Nitric oxide production increased. Blood pressure dropped. Your body knows how to fix itself. It's designed to heal. But it can't do the repair work if you don't give it the raw materials it needs. And most seniors eating a standard American diet are starving their blood vessels of exactly what they need to heal. That's the real problem. Not that your body can't fix itself. It can. It's designed to. But you've been feeding it nothing but processed food for years and wondering why it can't function properly. It's like wondering why your car won't run when you haven't put fuel in the tank. ####the foods your blood vessels are desperately crying out for. The fuel your blood vessels need comes from specific foods. Foods that contain the exact compounds that stimulate nitric oxide production. Foods that fight inflammation. Foods that protect and repair your endothelium. Foods that are incredibly simple to add to your daily life. Foods that you can buy at any grocery store in America for less than what you spend on blood pressure medications in a single month. And the 2-minute kitchen habit I'm about to reveal uses one of the most powerful of these foods. But before I tell you what it is, let me tell you about Tom and Barbara. ### Tom and Barbara, the couple who did this together. Tom and Barbara had been married for 47 years when they both came to see me. Both were in their early 70s. Both were on blood pressure medications. Tom was on 2 medications, Barbara was on 3. They'd tried to eat healthy over the years. At least, they thought they were eating healthy. Breakfast was typically toast with margarine and a glass of orange juice. Maybe some eggs on the weekend. Lunch was sandwiches. Usually deli meat on white bread with a bag of chips and a diet soda. Dinner was meat, chicken, pork chops, or beef, with white rice or potatoes and maybe some corn or green beans from a can. Snacks were crackers, cookies, pretzels. Low-fat options they'd been told were healthy back in the 1990s. This was the standard American diet. The diet that nearly every senior in this country grew up on. The diet that seemed normal because everyone ate that way. And both Tom and Barbara were suffering for it. Tom's blood pressure was 158/92. Despite 2 medications. Barbara's was 162/96. Despite 3 medications. Tom had erectile dysfunction. He hadn't told Barbara he'd tried Viagra and it didn't work well because his blood vessels were too damaged. He'd stopped initiating intimacy. That spark in their marriage, the physical connection they'd shared for nearly 5 decades, had quietly died, and they both felt the loss of it but didn't talk about it. Barbara had peripheral neuropathy in her feet. Numbness and tingling. Her doctor said it was probably prediabetes. She was terrified of ending up like her aunt, who'd lost her foot to diabetes complications. They were both exhausted. Both foggy. Both feeling older than they were. And when I explained to them what I'm explaining to you right now, about endothelial damage, about nitric oxide, about inflammation, about what the standard American diet was doing to their blood vessels, something shifted in the room. Tom looked at Barbara. Barbara looked at Tom. And Tom said something I'll never forget: "We've been poisoning ourselves for 47 years and nobody told us." That's when I told them about the 2-minute kitchen habit. And that's when everything changed for them. Okay. You've waited long enough. You've been patient. You've listened to the science. You understand what's happening inside your blood vessels. Now let me tell you about the habit. The 2-minute kitchen habit is drinking a small glass of beetroot juice before bed. That's it. 1 glass. About 250 milliliters, which is roughly 8 ounces. It takes about 30 seconds to pour, 30 seconds to drink. Maybe a minute total. 2 minutes if you're taking it easy. Every night before bed. Now, before you close this video thinking I hate beets or that sounds disgusting, stay with me. Because what beetroot juice does inside your body is so powerful, so well-researched, so consistently effective that it might be the single most important dietary change you can make for your blood pressure. #### Why beetroot juice works. The science is extraordinary. Beetroot juice is one of the most powerfully researched foods on the planet for blood pressure. And the reason it works is extraordinary. Beetroot is loaded with nitrates. Not nitric oxide directly, but nitrates that your body converts into nitric oxide through a simple, elegant biochemical pathway. Here's how it works. You drink the beetroot juice. The nitrates get absorbed in your stomach and small intestine. Bacteria in your mouth convert those nitrates to nitrite. Then your stomach and bloodstream convert the nitrite into nitric oxide. Within 30 to 60 minutes of drinking beetroot juice, your nitric oxide levels rise significantly. Your blood vessels respond. They relax. They open. Blood flows more easily. Blood pressure drops. Studies have shown that drinking beetroot juice can lower blood pressure by 4 to 7 points systolic within just 1 hour. Just 1 hour. In people who drink it consistently for 4 to 6 weeks, the effects are cumulative. Blood pressure reductions of 10 to 15 points. Some studies show even larger effects in people who started with significantly elevated pressure. A study published in the Journal of Nutrition showed that daily beetroot juice consumption reduced systolic blood pressure by an average of 6 points and diastolic by 4 points in adults with hypertension. Another study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found similar results, with the most dramatic improvements in people over 60. A study in Hypertension Journal found that beetroot juice was as effective as medication for some patients. The research is remarkably consistent. Beetroot juice works. And here's what makes it even more powerful. Unlike medications, beetroot juice is actually healing the underlying problem. It's not just forcing your blood vessels open. It's providing the raw material your body needs to produce the nitric oxide that your damaged endothelium has stopped making. It's giving your body the fuel it needs to heal itself. ###, but I hate beets. Let me address this right now. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I hate beets. I've hated beets my entire life. There's no way I can drink beet juice every night. I get it. I've heard this from dozens of patients. And here's what I tell them: you don't have to love it. You just have to do it. This isn't about enjoyment. This is about your life. This is about whether you want to be on 4 blood pressure medications in 2 years or whether you want to give your body a chance to heal. But let me also tell you this: most people who say they hate beets have never tried beetroot juice. They've tried canned beets or pickled beets or beets that were overcooked into mush 30 years ago. Beetroot juice doesn't taste like those beets. Good quality beetroot juice tastes earthy. Slightly sweet. Some brands mix it with apple juice or berries to make it more palatable. And here's the thing: after a week of drinking it, most people stop noticing the taste. Your taste buds adapt. It becomes just another part of your routine. Like brushing your teeth. You don't ask yourself every night whether you feel like brushing your teeth. You just do it because you know what happens if you don't. Beetroot juice is the same. Where to buy it and what to look for. Now, let's talk practically. Where do you get beetroot juice? Most grocery stores carry it. Walmart has it. Target has it. Whole Foods has it. Your local supermarket probably has it in the health food section or the juice aisle. Look for brands like Lakewood Organic, widely available, affordable. Beet It, specifically formulated for cardiovascular health. Biota, organic, high quality. Dynamic Health. Or you can buy organic beets and juice them yourself if you have a juicer. That's the most cost-effective option long-term, but it requires more effort. A bottle of beetroot juice costs between $6 and $12 depending on the brand and where you buy it. One bottle typically contains 2 to 3 servings. So you're looking at maybe $20 to $30 per month. Less than most people spend on their blood pressure medication copays. A fraction of what you'd pay if you hit that Medicare Part D coverage gap. And unlike your medications, beetroot juice has no side effects. It won't make you dizzy. It won't make you tired. It won't interfere with your sex life. The only side effect is that your urine and stool might turn slightly reddish or pink. This is completely harmless. It's just the pigments from the beets passing through your system. Don't be alarmed when it happens. It's normal. ### Robert's story, the skeptic who became a believer. Let me tell you about Robert, because his story perfectly illustrates what beetroot juice can do, even when nothing else changes. Robert was 69 years old. Blood pressure 172/96. On 2 medications. His doctor wanted to add a third. Robert was a big man. 230 pounds, most of it around his middle. He ate red meat almost every day. Drank 2 beers every night. Ate white rice and white bread with every meal. Almost never touched vegetables unless you counted ketchup. When I told Robert about beetroot juice, he wrinkled his nose. "That sounds terrible," he said. I told him, "Trust me. Try it for 4 weeks. Just add this one thing and see what happens. Don't change anything else. Same diet. Same beer. Same everything. Just add the beetroot juice every night before bed." Robert agreed. Reluctantly. He bought a bottle of beetroot juice. Poured himself a glass every night before bed. Forced it down like medicine. After 2 weeks, his blood pressure reading in my office was 164/90. Down 8 points from his usual reading. Robert was skeptical. "Could be a fluke," he said. We kept going. After 4 weeks, 156/88. Down 16 points systolic. Down 8 points diastolic. Just from beetroot juice. Nothing else changed. Robert sat in my office staring at those numbers. "You're telling me that disgusting beet juice did that?" "That disgusting beet juice did that," I confirmed. ### Robert's transformation continued, the door opens. But here's where Robert's story gets really remarkable. After he saw those numbers drop, he got curious. He started asking questions. "What else can I eat that does this?" That's when I told him about the rest of the system. The other foods. The other strategies. And Robert, this man who'd never voluntarily eaten a vegetable in his life, started making changes. Not all at once. Gradually. One food at a time. He added garlic. Then leafy greens. Then avocados. Then salmon. By the end of 3 months, Robert's blood pressure was 138/82. His doctor reduced 1 medication. By 6 months, 128/78. Off 1 medication entirely. Dose of the remaining 1 cut in half. Robert lost 35 pounds without trying to diet. Just from changing what he ate. His energy came back. His beer belly started shrinking. His wife told me he was like a different man. The beetroot juice opened the door. The rest of the system walked Robert through it. And that's what I'm going to do for you right now. I'm going to give you the complete system. Every piece of it. Because the beetroot juice is powerful. But it's not the whole story. The beetroot juice gives your body nitrates that become nitric oxide. But nitric oxide production also requires another nutrient. A nutrient that most seniors are severely deficient in and don't even know it. A nutrient that works alongside nitrates to maximize the amount of nitric oxide your body produces and, critically, to keep that nitric oxide alive long enough to do its job. That nutrient is vitamin C. ### Vitamin C, the protector your body desperately needs. Specifically, vitamin C acts as a cofactor that protects nitric oxide once it's produced. Here's the problem: nitric oxide is fragile. It's a gas. It's reactive. It can be destroyed almost instantly by free radicals called superoxide radicals. You could be flooding your body with nitrates from beetroot juice, but if those superoxide radicals are destroying the nitric oxide before it can reach your blood vessel walls, you're not getting the full benefit. That's where vitamin C comes in. Vitamin C neutralizes those free radicals. It keeps your nitric oxide intact and functional. It extends the lifespan of the nitric oxide molecules so they can actually reach your blood vessel smooth muscle cells and tell them to relax. Without adequate vitamin C, even if you're drinking beetroot juice every night, the nitric oxide gets destroyed before it can do its job. And most seniors are not getting enough vitamin C. The RDA for vitamin C is 75 to 90 milligrams per day. But that's the minimum needed to prevent scurvy. For optimal cardiovascular health, many researchers believe you need 200 to 500 milligrams daily. Processed diets are almost completely devoid of vitamin C. It's one of the most fragile vitamins. It degrades with heat, light, and time. That canned fruit cocktail you might have with breakfast? Almost no vitamin C left. It was destroyed in the canning process. That frozen vegetable medley you microwave for dinner? Most of the vitamin C was lost when it was blanched before freezing. You need fresh sources of vitamin C eaten raw or very lightly cooked. ### the best vitamin C sources, and why red bell peppers are your secret weapon. The solution is embarrassingly simple. Eat bell peppers. Red bell peppers especially. One medium red bell pepper contains about 150 to 200 milligrams of vitamin C. More than an orange. More than most people realize. And bell peppers are easy. Slice one up. Eat it raw. Add it to meals. Make it a daily food. They're crunchy. They're slightly sweet. They're satisfying. Barbara, from the couple I told you about earlier, started eating half a red bell pepper with her lunch every day. Just sliced it up. Ate it like carrot sticks. That simple change gave her more vitamin C than she'd been getting in an entire week on her old diet. Other excellent vitamin C sources. Strawberries, about 100 milligrams per cup. Kiwi fruit, 1 kiwi has 70 to 80 milligrams. Broccoli, 1 cup cooked has 100 milligrams, but eat it raw or lightly steamed for more. Brussels sprouts, 1 cup has 75 milligrams. Oranges, 1 medium orange has 70 milligrams. But red bell peppers are the easiest, most accessible source for most people. And they're available year-round in every grocery store in America. ## leafy greens, the nitrate powerhouses. Now here's the next piece of the puzzle. And this piece might be even more important than the beetroot juice itself. Leafy green vegetables. Dark, deep green leafy vegetables. Spinach. Kale. Swiss chard. Arugula. Collard greens. Mustard greens. These are nitrate powerhouses. They contain enormous amounts of the same nitrates found in beetroot. In some cases, leafy greens contain even more nitrates per serving than beetroot juice. Studies have shown that a diet rich in leafy greens produces the same blood pressure lowering effects as beetroot supplementation. But leafy greens do something beetroot juice alone doesn't do. They fight inflammation directly. They're loaded with antioxidants that neutralize free radicals. They're rich in folate, a B vitamin that helps your endothelium produce nitric oxide more efficiently. They contain magnesium, a mineral essential for blood vessel relaxation that most seniors are severely deficient in. One food. Multiple benefits. This is how the system works. You're not eating 20 different foods for 20 different reasons. You're eating a handful of powerfully beneficial foods that protect you on every front simultaneously. ## how to actually eat leafy greens, for people who say they don't like them. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. I don't like salads. I don't like kale. I can't eat a big bowl of raw spinach. You don't have to. Here's how you actually add leafy greens to your diet in ways that don't feel like punishment. Spinach in your morning smoothie, you won't even taste it. 1 or 2 big handfuls of baby spinach blended with a banana, some berries, and a little yogurt or milk. The fruit completely masks the taste of the spinach. You get all the nitrates and none of the "I'm eating health food" feeling. Sautéed kale with garlic and olive oil takes 5 minutes. Cut the kale into bite-sized pieces. Heat a little olive oil in a pan. Add some minced garlic. Throw in the kale. Stir for 3 to 4 minutes until it's wilted and slightly crispy. Season with salt and pepper. It's delicious. Even people who hate kale like it prepared this way. Arugula on sandwiches or burgers instead of iceberg lettuce, which has almost no nutritional value, use arugula. It's peppery. It's flavorful. It makes everything taste better. Collard greens Southern style. If you're from the South, you know how to make collard greens. Cook them low and slow with a little ham hock or bacon for flavoring. That's fine. You're still getting the nitrates. The point is not to eat them raw in a salad every day. The point is to find ways to incorporate them into meals you actually enjoy. Margaret added spinach to her morning smoothie. Just blended it with a banana, some frozen berries, and a little vanilla yogurt. She couldn't taste the spinach at all. But she was getting 2 to 3 cups of spinach every morning. Tom started sautéing kale as a side dish with dinner. He'd never eaten kale in his life before age 70. Now he eats it 3 or 4 times a week. ##### the magnesium crisis nobody's talking about. Now I need to pause here and tell you about magnesium. Because this is something that directly affects your blood pressure, and almost nobody is talking about it. Up to 50% of seniors have inadequate magnesium levels. Some estimates are even higher. And magnesium deficiency is one of the most underdiagnosed causes of elevated blood pressure. Here's why this matters. Magnesium is nature's calcium channel blocker. You know those calcium channel blocker medications some of you are taking? Amlodipine, Norvasc, diltiazem, cardizem, nifedipine, Procardia? Those drugs work by blocking calcium from entering the smooth muscle cells in your blood vessel walls. When calcium enters those cells, it causes them to contract. That contraction narrows your arteries and raises blood pressure. Magnesium does the same thing those drugs do. It blocks calcium from entering those cells. When magnesium is adequate, your blood vessels stay relaxed. When magnesium is deficient, your vessels constrict. Blood pressure rises. But magnesium deficiency doesn't just affect your blood pressure. It causes muscle cramps, especially at night in your calves. You wake up at 2 a.m. with a Charlie horse so painful you want to cry. It causes heart palpitations. That fluttering feeling in your chest that makes you worry something's wrong with your heart. It causes insomnia. You lie in bed tired but unable to fall asleep. Your mind won't shut off. It causes constipation. Days go by without a bowel movement. It causes anxiety. A feeling of unease that has no obvious cause. It causes fatigue that sleep doesn't fix. If you're experiencing any of these symptoms and nobody has checked your magnesium levels, you might be severely deficient. And here's the problem: standard blood tests don't catch magnesium deficiency. Only about 1% of your body's magnesium is in your blood. The rest is in your bones and soft tissues. You can have normal serum magnesium on a blood test and still be severely deficient at the cellular level. #### the foods richest in magnesium. The good news is that the foods richest in magnesium are the same foods that protect your blood vessels in other ways. Dark leafy greens: spinach, Swiss chard, kale. 1 cup of cooked spinach has about 150 milligrams of magnesium, roughly 40% of your daily requirement. Pumpkin seeds: 1 ounce, about a quarter cup, has 150 milligrams of magnesium. They're also rich in zinc and healthy fats. Almonds, 1 ounce has about 80 milligrams of magnesium. Easy to snack on. Portable. Avocados, 1 medium avocado has about 60 milligrams of magnesium, plus healthy fats and potassium. Black beans, 1 cup has about 120 milligrams of magnesium, plus fiber and protein. Dark chocolate with at least 70% cacao. 1 ounce has about 65 milligrams of magnesium. Yes, chocolate. I'll talk more about this later. Add these foods to your kitchen and you're fighting magnesium deficiency while simultaneously fighting inflammation and supporting nitric oxide production. 1 dietary change. Protection on multiple fronts. ### the potassium-sodium crisis. This might be your biggest problem. Now let me talk about potassium. Because this is another crisis hiding in plain sight. Most seniors have been told to reduce sodium to lower blood pressure. And yes, excess sodium raises blood pressure. But here's what almost nobody tells you. Reducing sodium without increasing potassium is like bailing water out of a boat without plugging the hole. You're doing something. But you're not fixing the actual problem. Potassium and sodium work as a team. They balance each other. When potassium is high relative to sodium, your kidneys excrete excess sodium efficiently. Blood pressure stays controlled. When potassium is low relative to sodium, your kidneys hold on to sodium. You retain water. Blood volume rises. Blood pressure rises. The average senior gets barely half the potassium they need. Maybe 1,500 to 2,000 milligrams daily when the body needs 3,500 to 4,700 milligrams. This imbalance is directly contributing to elevated blood pressure in millions of people. And here's the truly frustrating part, your doctor has probably told you to cut back on salt. But has your doctor ever asked how much potassium you're getting? Has anyone ever given you a list of high potassium foods? Comment below right now if your doctor has ever mentioned potassium when discussing your blood pressure. Type "never mentioned" if potassium has never come up in any blood pressure conversation you've ever had. I want to see how widespread this gap in education is. Because I guarantee you, the vast majority of you have never had this conversation with your doctor. ### the best potassium sources, and how to get 4,000 milligrams daily. The best sources of potassium are foods you can get at any grocery store. Many of them are foods I've already mentioned. Avocados, 1 medium avocado has about 700 milligrams of potassium. That's more than a banana. Sweet potatoes, 1 medium sweet potato with the skin on has about 700 milligrams of potassium. White potatoes, 1 medium potato with skin has about 900 milligrams of potassium. Yes, regular potatoes are incredibly healthy if you leave the skin on and don't fry them. Bananas, 1 medium banana has about 400 milligrams of potassium. Spinach, 1 cup cooked has about 800 milligrams of potassium. Tomatoes, 1 large tomato has about 400 milligrams. Tomato sauce and tomato paste are even more concentrated. Beans and lentils, 1 cup of cooked white beans has about 1,000 milligrams of potassium. Oranges, 1 large orange has about 330 milligrams. Cantaloupe, 1 cup has about 430 milligrams. Notice something? Many of these foods are the same foods that fight inflammation, support nitric oxide production, and provide magnesium. The system works together. You're not memorizing 20 different food lists. You're eating the same handful of powerfully beneficial foods and getting protection on every front simultaneously. If you eat 1 avocado, 700 milligrams. 1 sweet potato, 700 milligrams. 2 cups of spinach, 800 milligrams. 1 cup of beans, 1,000 milligrams. 1 banana, 400 milligrams. You've just gotten 3,600 milligrams of potassium. Nearly your entire daily requirement. From 5 foods. ### a word about potassium restrictions. Now, I need to address something important. If you have kidney disease, specifically, if your doctor has told you that you have chronic kidney disease stage 3 or higher, you may need to restrict potassium intake. Damaged kidneys can't excrete potassium efficiently. High potassium levels can become dangerous if your kidneys aren't working properly. So if you have kidney disease, talk to your doctor before dramatically increasing potassium-rich foods. But for most seniors with normal kidney function, getting 3,500 to 4,700 milligrams of potassium daily from food is not only safe, it's essential for cardiovascular health. Act 5, The Hidden Game Changers. Garlic, the ancient medicine that actually works. Now I want to talk about something that might surprise you. Something that sounds almost too simple to be true. Garlic. Specifically, raw garlic. Raw garlic is one of the most studied natural compounds for cardiovascular health on the planet. Thousands of studies. Decades of research. And the blood pressure effects are well documented and significant. Garlic contains a compound called allicin. Allicin is produced when you crush or chop raw garlic. It's the compound that gives garlic its sharp, pungent smell. And allicin does something remarkable inside your body. It activates an enzyme called endothelial nitric oxide synthase. That enzyme, eNOS for short, is the exact enzyme that produces nitric oxide in your blood vessel lining. Garlic literally tells your endothelium to make more nitric oxide. Studies have shown that regular garlic consumption reduces blood pressure by an average of 5 to 9 points systolic. A meta-analysis of 29 clinical trials found consistent, significant blood pressure reduction with garlic supplementation or consumption. And the effects are stronger in people who already have elevated blood pressure. #The critical detail that makes garlic work. Most people get this wrong. But here's the critical detail that makes garlic work. The garlic must be raw. Cooked garlic loses most of its allicin content. When you heat garlic, the enzyme that produces allicin is destroyed. So the garlic you cook into your dinner at 350 degrees for 30 minutes is not doing what raw garlic does for your blood pressure. It still tastes good. It still has some health benefits. But it's not producing allicin. It's not activating eNOS. It's not significantly boosting nitric oxide production. The solution: crush 1 to 2 cloves of raw garlic. Let it sit for 10 to 15 minutes. This resting period is crucial because it allows the allicin to fully form. Crushing activates the enzyme. The enzyme needs 10 minutes to do its work. Then eat the raw garlic. Yes, it's sharp. Yes, it's intense. But there are ways to make it tolerable. Mix it into yogurt. Put it on cottage cheese. Blend it into a smoothie with beetroot juice and banana and a little honey. Mash it into avocado. Mix it into hummus. There are ways. And after a week, most people develop a tolerance. The sharpness becomes something they actually enjoy. It becomes a flavor they look forward to. #Why garlic and beetroot juice together are more powerful than either alone. And here's something fascinating. If you're drinking beetroot juice at night for the nitrates, and eating raw garlic during the day for the allicin, you're attacking nitric oxide production from 2 different angles simultaneously. The beetroot provides the raw material, the nitrates. The garlic activates the production machinery, the eNOS enzyme. Together, they're dramatically more effective than either one alone. This is the system working. This is the synergy. Tom, from the couple I told you about, started crushing a clove of garlic every morning and mixing it into his yogurt at breakfast. He said the first few days were rough. The garlic burned. It made his eyes water. By day 5, he was used to it. By week 2, he said he actually liked the taste. And when we checked his blood pressure after 4 weeks of beetroot juice at night and raw garlic in the morning, combined with the leafy greens and the other foods, his pressure had dropped from 158/92 to 136/82. 22 points systolic. 10 points diastolic. His doctor reduced one of his 2 medications. #omega-3 fatty acids, fighting the inflammation that's destroying your arteries. Now let me talk about omega-3 fatty acids. Because inflammation is one of the biggest drivers of elevated blood pressure. And most seniors are dangerously low in the one nutrient class that fights inflammation most powerfully. Omega-3 fatty acids, specifically EPA and DHA found in fatty fish, are the most potent anti-inflammatory compounds available through diet. They directly reduce inflammatory molecules in your blood. They protect your endothelium from inflammatory damage. They make blood vessels more flexible and responsive. They reduce oxidative stress. The best sources are fatty fish. Salmon, wild-caught is best, but farmed is okay too. Sardines, canned sardines are cheap, convenient, and incredibly nutrient-dense. Mackerel. Herring. Anchovies. If you can eat fatty fish 2 to 3 times per week, you're providing your blood vessels with powerful anti-inflammatory protection. If you can't or won't eat fish that often, fish oil supplementation is a reasonable alternative. But food sources are always preferable. Studies consistently show that regular omega-3 intake reduces blood pressure by 3 to 5 points. In people with elevated pressure and high inflammation, the effects are larger. And remember, omega-3s don't just lower blood pressure. They reduce your risk of heart attack. Reduce stroke risk. Reduce inflammation throughout your entire body. Support brain health. Support joint health. One dietary change. Protection on every front. #### What happens when you don't get enough omega-3s? This is frightening. But I want you to understand what happens when you don't get enough omega-3s. Because this is where it gets frightening. When omega-3 intake is low, inflammation increases. Not slightly. Significantly. Studies show that people with low omega-3 levels have dramatically higher levels of C-reactive protein, CRP, and other inflammatory markers. That inflammation is circulating in your bloodstream right now, attacking your artery walls, damaging the very endothelial cells that produce the nitric oxide you need to keep your blood pressure healthy. It's creating the exact conditions that lead to stroke. That lead to heart attack. That lead to the kind of slow, quiet damage that one day becomes catastrophic. Margaret had almost no omega-3s in her diet before she came to see me. She ate canned tuna once a week, if that. And her inflammation markers were sky-high. Everything we were fighting, the endothelial damage, the blood vessel stiffness, the elevated blood pressure, all of it was being driven partly by that chronic inflammatory assault. Adding salmon twice a week, combined with everything else in the system, was like adding water to a fire that had been burning inside her for years. The inflammation didn't disappear overnight. But it started going down. Week by week. Marker by marker. And as the inflammation decreased, her blood vessels started healing. Nitric oxide production started recovering. Blood pressure kept dropping. #### How to actually eat more fish, for people who say they don't like fish. But I don't like fish. I hear this all the time. And my response is, you probably don't like poorly prepared fish. Here's how to make salmon that even people who hate fish will eat. Preheat your oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. Line a baking sheet with parchment paper or foil. Place a salmon fillet on the sheet. Drizzle with a little olive oil. Sprinkle with salt, pepper, and garlic powder. Maybe add a squeeze of lemon. Bake for 12 to 15 minutes until the salmon flakes easily with a fork. That's it. Simple. No fishy smell. No complicated preparation. And sardines? I know. Sardines are disgusting. Try this, get a can of sardines in olive oil. Drain them. Mash them up with a fork. Mix with a little lemon juice, some chopped red onion, and some Dijon mustard. Spread on whole grain crackers. It tastes like a fancy appetizer. Not like fish. The point is, there are ways to incorporate omega-3 rich fish into your diet that don't feel like punishment. #### Dark chocolate, the delicious medicine. Now let me tell you about something that sounds too good to be true. Dark chocolate. Specifically, dark chocolate with at least 70% cacao content. I know it sounds like I'm making this up. Dark chocolate lowers blood pressure. But the research is there. Multiple studies. Published. Peer-reviewed. Cacao contains compounds called flavonoids. These flavonoids stimulate your endothelium to produce nitric oxide. The same pathway that beetroot and garlic activate. Cacao activates it too. Studies show that consuming dark chocolate with at least 70% cacao, about 1 to 2 ounces daily, can reduce blood pressure by 3 to 5 points. It also provides magnesium, which we already discussed is critical for blood vessel relaxation. But the cacao percentage matters enormously. Milk chocolate has almost no flavonoids. It's mostly sugar and fat. It won't help your blood pressure. It might raise it. But dark chocolate, 70% cacao or higher, genuinely works. It's not a replacement for the other foods in this system. But it's a beautiful addition. A piece of the puzzle that makes the whole system more enjoyable. More sustainable. Because let's be honest, if a system for lowering blood pressure includes dark chocolate, you're more likely to stick with it. Barbara started eating 1 ounce of 85% dark chocolate every afternoon as a snack. She said it satisfied her sweet tooth. It gave her something to look forward to. And it was actually helping her blood pressure at the same time. Hashtag how the complete system fits together. So let me bring all of this together for you. Because this is where you see how the system works as a whole. 1 glass of beetroot juice at night provides nitrates that become nitric oxide while you sleep. 1 clove of raw garlic during the day activates the enzyme that produces nitric oxide. A handful of dark leafy greens provides additional nitrates, magnesium, folate, and fights inflammation. Red bell peppers provides vitamin C to protect the nitric oxide from being destroyed. Avocado provides potassium and magnesium and healthy fats. Sweet potatoes or potatoes with skin more potassium. Salmon or sardines twice a week, omega-3s to fight inflammation. Almonds or pumpkin seeds, magnesium and healthy fats. 1 ounce of dark chocolate in the afternoon, more flavonoids and magnesium. That's your complete blood pressure protection system. And most of it tastes good. Really good. The critical details that make or break your results. Now I promised you I'd tell you everything. Not just the main strategies, but the hidden details that make the difference between this working at full power and working at half power. The details that could be sabotaging your results without you even knowing it. Hashtag the mouthwash mistake that destroys your results. Remember what I said about bacteria in your mouth converting nitrates to nitrite? That conversion is essential. Without it, the nitrates from beetroot juice can't become nitric oxide. But here's what kills those bacteria. Mouthwash. Specifically, antibacterial mouthwash. If you use antibacterial mouthwash before drinking beetroot juice, or even in the morning before your nitrate-rich foods, you're wiping out the bacteria you need for the conversion. Studies have documented this clearly. People who used antibacterial mouthwash and then consumed nitrate-rich foods showed significantly less blood pressure reduction than people who didn't use mouthwash. The mouthwash killed the bacteria. The bacteria couldn't convert nitrates. Nitric oxide didn't get produced. Blood pressure stayed elevated. Right there. That's it. That one habit, something you've probably been doing every morning for years without thinking, could be sabotaging every single nitrate-rich food you eat. Think about that. You're eating spinach. You're drinking beetroot juice. You're doing everything right. But every morning you swish antibacterial mouthwash around your mouth and destroy the bacteria that make all of that work. And your blood pressure stays high. And you blame the food. You blame yourself. You blame your genetics. When really, it was the mouthwash the whole time. Hashtag the solution is simple. The solution is simple. Stop using antibacterial mouthwash. Use a non-antibacterial one if you want to freshen your breath. Or simply don't use mouthwash right before eating nitrate-rich foods. Brush your teeth. Don't rinse with antibacterial mouthwash. Then eat your greens. Drink your beetroot juice. Let your mouth bacteria do their essential job. This is the kind of detail nobody teaches you. This is the kind of thing that makes the difference between the system working at full power and working at half power. This is the kind of thing that could explain why someone tried beetroot juice for a week and saw nothing happen. They were using mouthwash. Problem solved. ### timing. When you eat these foods matters more than you think. Now let's talk about timing. Because when you eat and drink these foods matters more than you might think. Beetroot juice before bed is ideal. Here's why. Your blood pressure naturally rises during sleep, especially during the early morning hours between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. This is when most heart attacks and strokes occur. Early morning. When blood pressure surges. When your body is most vulnerable. Drinking beetroot juice before bed means the nitric oxide is being produced during exactly the window when your blood pressure is at its highest and your risk is at its greatest. You're protecting yourself during your most vulnerable hours. Garlic and leafy greens during the day. They provide sustained nitrate and allicin support during waking hours when you're active, eating, and your blood vessels are working hardest. Potassium-rich foods throughout the day. They help your kidneys regulate sodium all day long. Vitamin C from bell peppers. Keeps your nitric oxide protected from free radical destruction during the busy, stressful hours of the day. The timing creates a 24-hour cycle of protection. Daytime, garlic, greens, potassium foods, vitamin C. Nighttime, beetroot juice. Around-the-clock nitric oxide support. Around-the-clock blood pressure protection. Morning to night. While you're awake. While you're sleeping. Your body is being fed exactly what it needs, exactly when it needs it, to keep doing the repair work that has to happen for your blood vessels to heal. ### The foods you need to stop eating. This is just as important. Now, I've spent a lot of time telling you what to add to your diet. But I need to spend a few minutes telling you what to stop eating. Because you can eat all the beetroot juice and garlic and spinach in the world, but if you're still eating foods that are actively destroying your endothelium, you're fighting a losing battle. Refined carbohydrates and added sugars. White bread. White rice. Pasta. Crackers. Cookies. Cakes. Candy. Soda. Every time you eat these foods, your blood glucose spikes. Those ages I mentioned earlier form. They attack your endothelial cells. They reduce nitric oxide production. You don't have to eliminate them completely. But you need to dramatically reduce them. Replace white bread with whole grain bread. Replace white rice with brown rice or quinoa. Replace pasta with whole wheat pasta or vegetable noodles. Processed meats. Bacon. Sausage. Deli meat. Hot dogs. These are loaded with sodium, preservatives, and compounds that increase inflammation and oxidative stress. If you're eating these regularly, you're undermining everything else you're doing. Trans fats and excessive omega-6 oils. Margarine. Shortening. Most processed snack foods. Fried foods. These fats promote inflammation. They damage your endothelium. They compete with omega-3s. Use olive oil, avocado oil, or butter instead. Excess alcohol. 1 drink per day for women, 2 for men is generally considered safe. But beyond that, alcohol raises blood pressure, damages your liver, and interferes with nutrient absorption. If you're drinking 2 or 3 beers every night, that's part of your blood pressure problem. ###. What about coffee? I get asked about coffee all the time. Does coffee raise blood pressure? Short answer, it depends. Coffee can cause a temporary spike in blood pressure immediately after drinking it, especially in people who don't drink it regularly. But studies show that regular coffee consumption doesn't raise blood pressure long-term in most people. In fact, some studies suggest coffee may have cardiovascular benefits due to its antioxidant content. If you're a regular coffee drinker and your blood pressure is controlled, you don't need to stop. But if you're drinking 6 cups a day and your blood pressure is sky high, cutting back might help. Moderation. As with everything. Act 6. The critical details that make or break your results. What if you have diabetes? Many seniors with high blood pressure also have diabetes or prediabetes. If that's you, you need to be aware that beetroot juice contains natural sugars. 8 ounces of beetroot juice has about 15 to 20 grams of carbohydrates. That's not a huge amount, but it's something to consider if you're monitoring your blood sugar closely. The good news is that the nitrates in beetroot juice may actually improve insulin sensitivity and glucose metabolism. But you should monitor your blood sugar when you start drinking beetroot juice. See how your body responds. And if you're on diabetes medications, talk to your doctor. You may need to adjust your doses as your blood pressure improves and your metabolic health improves. What about kidney stones? Beets are high in oxalates. Oxalates can contribute to kidney stone formation in susceptible people. If you have a history of calcium oxalate kidney stones, you should talk to your doctor before drinking large amounts of beetroot juice daily. You might be able to tolerate it. But you might need to increase your fluid intake or take other precautions. Don't ignore this if kidney stones have been a problem for you. What if you're on blood thinners? If you're taking warfarin, Coumadin, you need to be careful about suddenly increasing your intake of leafy greens. Leafy greens are high in vitamin K. Vitamin K affects how warfarin works. This doesn't mean you can't eat leafy greens. But you need to be consistent. If you suddenly go from eating almost no leafy greens to eating 2 cups of spinach every day, your INR, the blood test that measures warfarin effectiveness, will change. Talk to your doctor. You may need to have your INR monitored more frequently while you're adjusting your diet. You may need a dose adjustment. But don't let warfarin be an excuse to avoid leafy greens entirely. They're too important for your cardiovascular health. Work with your doctor to find the right balance. Margaret's complete protocol. Now let me tell you exactly how Margaret implemented this system. Because this is where theory becomes practice. This is where you see how a real person, living a real life, actually did this. Week 1, the Beetroot Juice Foundation. Margaret started with just the beetroot juice. Every evening, 30 minutes before bed, she poured herself 8 ounces of beetroot juice. She bought Lakewood Organic from her local supermarket. Cost her about $8 for a bottle that lasted 2 to 3 days. She didn't love the taste at first. But she didn't hate it either. It was earthy. Slightly sweet. Tolerable. She drank it like medicine. Because that's what it was. Medicine from her kitchen instead of medicine from a pharmacy. By day 3, she noticed something. She slept better that night. Deeper. Woke up only once instead of 3 or 4 times. Could have been coincidence. But she kept going. By the end of week 1, she was sleeping through most nights. Her blood pressure at home was averaging 150/90. Down from 156/94. 6 points. Just from beetroot juice. 1 week. Week 2, adding garlic and greens. Week 2, Margaret added garlic and leafy greens. Every morning with breakfast, she crushed 1 clove of garlic. Let it sit for 10 minutes while she made her coffee. Then mixed it into plain yogurt with a little honey. The first day was rough. The garlic burned. She coughed. Day 2 was easier. Day 3, even easier. By day 5, she barely noticed the sharpness anymore. She also started adding spinach to a morning smoothie. Just a big handful. Blended with a frozen banana, some frozen berries, a little vanilla yogurt, and a splash of milk. She couldn't taste the spinach at all. But she was getting 2 cups of spinach every morning. At dinner, she started making simple sautéed kale or adding arugula to salads. Nothing complicated. No fancy recipes. Just simple additions to meals she was already eating. By the end of week 2, her blood pressure was averaging 144/86. 12 points down systolic. 8 points down diastolic. From 2 weeks of simple dietary changes. #### week 3 to 4, the complete system. Week 3, Margaret added the rest of the system. She started eating half an avocado most days. Usually with lunch. Sliced on top of eggs at breakfast. Or just eaten with a spoon with a little salt and pepper. She bought a bag of sweet potatoes and roasted them in the oven. Made enough for several days. Ate one with dinner 3 or 4 times a week. She bought red bell peppers and started slicing them up to eat raw with lunch. Crunchy. Sweet. Satisfying. She started eating a small handful of almonds as an afternoon snack instead of crackers. She bought salmon. Just simple frozen salmon fillets. Baked them with olive oil, salt, pepper, and lemon. Twice a week. And she bought 85% dark chocolate. Ate 1 ounce every afternoon. That was it. That was the entire system. No complicated meal prep. No expensive supplements. Just simple foods added to her regular routine over the course of a few weeks. By the end of week 4, Margaret's blood pressure was averaging 136/82. 20 points down systolic. 12 points down diastolic. From 1 month of eating differently. ### month 2 to 3, the healing continues. Margaret kept going. Not perfectly. Some days she forgot the garlic. Some days she didn't feel like beetroot juice. But most days, she did it. Most days, she ate the foods. Most days, she followed the system. And her body responded. By the end of month 2, her blood pressure was averaging 130/78. Her doctor reduced one of her 3 medications. Margaret cried in the office. Happy tears this time. I didn't think this was possible, she said. I thought I'd be on these pills forever. By the end of month 3, her blood pressure was averaging 124/76. Her doctor reduced another medication. Margaret was down from 3 maximum dose blood pressure pills to 1 low dose pill. And everything else had changed too. ### the other changes nobody predicted. Margaret's sleep was the best it had been in a decade. She slept through the night most nights. Woke up feeling rested. Her energy came back. Not overnight. Gradually. But by month 3, she was walking 3 miles a day again. She started working in her garden. Her memory improved. She stopped forgetting words mid-sentence. Stopped forgetting conversations. Her hands stopped trembling. The brain fog lifted. She felt like herself again. Like the person she used to be before the medications and the exhaustion and the fear that she was disappearing. Tom noticed. Her friends noticed. Her daughter noticed. Mom, you seem so much better, her daughter said. What changed? I changed what I eat, Margaret said simply. ### month 6, the long-term results. By month 6, Margaret's blood pressure was averaging 118/74. Normal. Healthy. Better than it had been in 15 years. Her doctor took her off the last medication. Margaret was on 0 blood pressure pills for the first time since age 61. She was 72 years old. And her blood pressure was better than most 50-year-olds. Her inflammation markers were normal. Her endothelial function, we did a special test called flow-mediated dilation, had improved by over 40%. Her blood vessels were healing. And she was spending about $30 a week on the foods in this system. Less than she used to spend on her medication copays. Your step-by-step implementation plan. Now, let me give you your exact step-by-step plan. Because I don't want you to close this video and think that sounds great and then never actually do it. I want you to start tonight. And I want you to know exactly what to do. #### tonight, the first step. Tonight, before bed, go to your kitchen. If you don't have beetroot juice yet, that's okay. We'll get it tomorrow. But I want you to prepare yourself mentally. Look in your refrigerator. Look at what you're currently eating. Ask yourself, is this food healing my blood vessels, or is it damaging them? That white bread. Those crackers. That frozen pizza. That sugary cereal. Be honest with yourself. Then make a commitment. Out loud. Say it, I'm going to give my body what it needs to heal. #### tomorrow, the shopping trip. Tomorrow, or as soon as you can, go to the grocery store. Here's your shopping list. Screenshot this if you're watching on a phone. Write it down if you're watching on a computer. Shopping list *. Essential, buy these first. Beetroot juice, liquid organic or similar brand, 2 to 3 bottles. Fresh garlic, 2 bulbs. Baby spinach or regular spinach, 1 large container or bag. Red bell peppers, 4 to 5 peppers. Avocados, 4 to 5 avocados. Sweet potatoes, 4 to 5 medium potatoes. Additional, add these as budget allows. Kale or arugula. Bananas, 1 bunch. Almonds or pumpkin seeds, 1 bag. Salmon, fresh or frozen, 2 fillets. Dark chocolate, 70% cacao or higher, 1 bar. Plain yogurt, for mixing with garlic. Cost estimate, $40 to $60 for everything. About $30 to $40 if you just buy the essentials. Less than you probably spent on groceries last week. A fraction of what you spend on medications. Day 1, start simple. Day 1 is simple. Before bed *8 ounces of beetroot juice. Just drink it. Don't overthink it. That's it for day 1. Don't try to do everything at once. Just master the beetroot juice first. Day 2 to 7, the foundation week. Days 2 to 7, you're building the foundation. Every morning with breakfast ***, crush 1 clove of garlic. Let it sit for 10 minutes. Mix it into yogurt, or mash it into avocado, or blend it into a smoothie. Just get it down. Every day *, add 1 handful of spinach somewhere. Smoothie is easiest. Or sauté it with dinner. Every night before bed *, beetroot juice. That's your foundation week. Beetroot juice. Garlic. Spinach. 3 things. That's all. By the end of week 1, these should feel like habits. Not comfortable yet, maybe. But habits. ### week 2, adding the supporting players. Week 2, you add red bell peppers *, slice 1 up. Eat it with lunch. Raw. Crunchy. Easy. Avocado *, half an avocado with a meal. Breakfast, lunch, doesn't matter. Sweet potato * 2 to 3 times this week with dinner. You're still doing the beetroot juice, garlic, and spinach every day. Now you're adding these. ### week 3 to 4, the complete system. Week 3 to 4, you add the final pieces. Salmon or sardines * twice this week. Simple preparation. Don't overthink it. Almonds or pumpkin seeds * small handful as a snack. Dark chocolate * 1 ounce in the afternoon. By the end of week 4, you're doing the complete system. And it should feel manageable. Not perfect. Not easy. But doable. ### month 2 to 3, refinement and consistency. Months 2 to 3 are about consistency and refinement. You're not adding new foods. You're just making the system part of your life. Some days will be perfect. Most days won't be. That's okay. Aim for 80% consistency. If you're doing this system 5 to 6 days out of 7, you're winning. And you're monitoring your blood pressure at home. Every morning. Same time. Before medications. Before coffee. Write it down. Keep a log. When your numbers start dropping, and they will, bring that log to your doctor. #### working with your doctor. This is important. Do not stop or reduce your blood pressure medications on your own. As your blood pressure drops, as the system starts working, you'll need to work with your doctor to adjust your medications. Here's what you say to your doctor. I've made some dietary changes. I'm eating more vegetables, less processed food, and my blood pressure has been consistently lower at home. Here's my log. Can we discuss whether my medications need to be adjusted? Any good doctor will support this. They might be skeptical at first. But when they see your numbers dropping week after week, they'll adjust your meds. If your doctor refuses to work with you, if they insist you stay on the same medications even though your blood pressure is consistently normal, find a new doctor. You deserve a doctor who supports your health, not one who just writes prescriptions. ###. What if it's not working? If you've been doing this system for 4 weeks and you're seeing no improvement at all, here are the most common problems. 1. You're still eating too much processed food, ****. The system can't overcome a diet that's still mostly refined carbs, sugar, and processed foods. You need to reduce those significantly. 2. You're using antibacterial mouthwash, ****. Stop it. It's killing the bacteria you need. 3. You're not being consistent, ****. Doing it 2 to 3 days a week won't work. You need 5 to 6 days minimum. 4. Your stress levels are through the roof, ****. Chronic stress raises cortisol. Cortisol raises blood pressure. This system helps, but it can't overcome chronic, severe stress on its own. 5. You're not sleeping, ****. Sleep deprivation raises blood pressure significantly. If you're sleeping less than 6 hours a night, that's part of your problem. 6. You have an underlying medical condition, ****. Sleep apnea, kidney disease, thyroid problems, hormonal imbalances can all cause elevated blood pressure. This system helps, but it might not be enough on its own. You need medical evaluation. If you're doing everything right and seeing no improvement, see your doctor. Get evaluated for secondary causes of hypertension. ###. The biggest obstacles, and how to overcome them. Obstacle 1. I don't have time to cook. You don't need to cook elaborate meals. Sauté spinach takes 5 minutes. Bake salmon takes 15 minutes. Slice a bell pepper takes 2 minutes. If you have time to sit down and eat, you have time to prepare these simple foods. Obstacle 2. My spouse won't eat this way. You don't need your spouse to do this with you. Would it be easier if they did? Yes. Is it required? No. Make your beetroot juice. Add your spinach to your smoothie. Eat your garlic. Make your salmon. They can eat whatever they want. You're doing this for yourself. That said, many spouses come around when they see the results. Tom did. He started asking Barbara what she was eating. Started trying things. Eventually started doing the whole system himself. Obstacle 3. I can't afford organic. You don't need organic. Regular produce is fine. The most important thing is eating these foods at all. Don't let perfect be the enemy of good. Obstacle 4. I have no energy to do this. I understand. The exhaustion is real. But here's the thing, that exhaustion is partly caused by the very problem this system fixes. You need energy to implement this system. But this system will give you energy back. Start with just the beetroot juice. That's 2 minutes. You have 2 minutes. Then add one more thing. Then one more. Small steps. You don't have to do everything at once. Obstacle 5. I've tried natural remedies before and nothing worked. This isn't a natural remedy. This is food. Specific foods that address specific physiological dysfunctions. This is giving your body the raw materials it needs to produce nitric oxide, to fight inflammation, to balance electrolytes. It's not magic. It's biochemistry. And if you do it consistently, it works. #### What success looks like, realistic expectations. Week 1 to 2, you might notice better sleep. You might not notice anything yet. Your blood pressure might drop a few points. It might not change yet. Everyone is different. Week 3 to 4, most people start seeing measurable blood pressure reduction. 5 to 10 points is common. Some people see more. Energy starts improving. Month 2 to 3, blood pressure reduction usually accelerates. 10 to 20 points total is typical. Many people can reduce medication at this point with doctor supervision. Month 4 to 6, continued improvement. Some people reach normal blood pressure and can stop all medications. Others still need reduced doses. Both are success. Beyond 6 months, maintenance. You keep eating this way because it's become your life. Because you feel better. Because you never want to go back to how you felt before. This is not a diet you go on and off. This is a new way of eating that becomes your normal. Before we close, let me tell you one more story. Because this one matters. #### The veteran who refused to accept this is just aging. His name was James. 68 years old. Marine Corps veteran. Vietnam. Blood pressure, 178/98. On 3 medications. Doctor wanted to add a 4th. James sat in my office in his Marine Corps cap and said, "Doc, I didn't survive Vietnam to spend my last years feeling like this. There's got to be another way." I told him about the system. Same system I'm telling you about. James went home. Went to the grocery store. Bought everything on the list. Started that night. Now, James was not a man who did things halfway. When he committed to something, he committed. He drank his beetroot juice every single night. Not one night did he miss. He ate his garlic every morning. Not one morning did he skip. He made a huge spinach smoothie. Sautéed kale. Ate avocados. Ate sweet potatoes. Ate salmon. He stopped eating the processed food he'd been eating for decades. Just stopped. Cold turkey. And 3 months later, James came back to my office. Blood pressure, 122/76. Off 2 of his 3 medications. Third one at half the dose. "Doc," he said, "I feel like I'm 50 again." But here's the part of James's story that I really want you to hear. James didn't just do this for himself. He started telling other veterans. Started sharing what he learned. Started bringing guys to my office. "If it worked for me," he said, "it'll work for them." And it did. One by one. Veteran after veteran. Men who'd served their country. Who'd survived war. Who'd come home and slowly been destroyed by the standard American diet and the standard American medical system. Getting their health back. Getting their lives back. Because one man refused to accept that suffering was inevitable. #### You are not powerless. I tell you James's story because I want you to understand something fundamental. You are not powerless against high blood pressure. You are not sentenced to more and more pills forever. You are not destined to feel worse every year until something catastrophic happens. Your body has the ability to heal. Your blood vessels have the ability to repair themselves. All they need is the right raw materials. The right foods. The right nutrients. And you can provide those starting tonight. Starting in your own kitchen. Starting with a glass of beetroot juice and a crushed clove of garlic and a handful of spinach. The power was in your kitchen this whole time. And now you know how to use it. #### What I need you to do right now. I need you to do 3 things. First, take action tonight. Don't wait. Don't say, I'll start Monday. Don't say, let me think about it. The damage happening in your blood vessels is happening right now. The sooner you start healing, the better. Go to your kitchen. Look at what you have. Plan your shopping trip. Make the commitment. Second, subscribe to this channel. If this video has been valuable, if you've learned things today that nobody ever told you, subscribe. Because this is my mission. Getting this information to seniors who need it. Who deserve it. Who are suffering unnecessarily because nobody told them the truth. There are millions of people out there who need to see this. And every subscription helps get this information to more people. Third, share this video. Think about every person you know on blood pressure medication. Your parents. Your siblings. Your friends. Your neighbors. The people at your church. The people in your community. How many of them have never heard about beetroot juice for blood pressure? How many have never heard about the nitric oxide pathway? One share could change someone's life. #### join the community. If you want the complete protocols, the detailed meal plans, the step-by-step guides, the answers to every question you have, join my free newsletter. The link is in the description below. You'll receive detailed meal plans and shopping lists. Recipes specifically designed for blood pressure. Supplement guidance, what works, what doesn't, what's a waste of money. Research updates as new studies come out. Answers to questions from other seniors doing this system. The first notification when my comprehensive blood pressure ebook is released. Everything organized into a simple, actionable system. And it's free. Because this information should be free. Because you shouldn't have to pay hundreds of dollars to learn what your body needs to heal. #### the truth about why this isn't common knowledge. You know why you've never heard this before? Why your doctor never mentioned it? Why this isn't front page news? Because there's no money in it. Pharmaceutical companies can't patent spinach. They can't patent beetroot juice. They can't patent garlic. They can patent lisinopril. They can patent amlodipine. They can patent losartan. Those patents generate billions of dollars in revenue. A sweet potato generates nothing. So which one do you think gets marketed? Which one do you think gets taught in medical schools? Which one do you think gets advertised on television? The system is designed to keep you on pills. Not to teach you how to heal yourself. And I'm telling you this not to make you paranoid or angry, though you have every right to be angry, but to make you understand why you need to take charge of your own health. Nobody is coming to save you. No doctor is going to spontaneously tell you about this. No pharmaceutical company is going to recommend you try beetroot juice instead of their medication. You have to save yourself. And you can. Starting tonight. ### Margaret's final words. I want to end with something Margaret said to me in her 6-month follow-up appointment. She was sitting in the same chair where she'd cried a year earlier. But she was a different woman. You gave me my life back, she said. Not just my health. My life. My ability to be myself. My ability to enjoy my days. My ability to be present with my husband, my children, my grandchildren. I didn't give you anything, I told her. You did this. You made the changes. You did the work. You told me it was possible, she said. Nobody ever told me it was possible. They just kept giving me more pills. That's what I'm telling you right now. It's possible. You can lower your blood pressure. You can reduce your medications. You can feel better. Not overnight. Not without effort. But it's possible. And it starts tonight. In your kitchen. With simple foods that cost almost nothing. ### your action plan one more time. Tonight *. Pour 8 ounces of beetroot juice, or commit to buying it tomorrow. Drink it 30 minutes before bed. That's it. That's your first step. Tomorrow asterisk. Go to the grocery store. Buy the essentials from the shopping list I gave you. Cost, $40 to $60 total. Less than 1 week of coffee shop visits. A fraction of 1 month of blood pressure medications. This week asterisk. Beetroot juice every night. Garlic every morning. Spinach once a day. That's all. Master those 3 things. Next week asterisk. Keep doing beetroot, garlic, spinach. Add bell peppers. Add avocado. Add sweet potato. Week 3-4 asterisk. Keep doing everything above. Add salmon twice this week. Add almonds as snacks. Add dark chocolate in the afternoon. By the end of month 1 asterisk. You should see measurable blood pressure reduction. You should feel better. You should be ready to talk to your doctor about medication adjustment. That's your system. That's your path. That's how you take control of your blood pressure starting tonight. #### Final thoughts. The standard American diet has been slowly poisoning you for decades. The standard American medical system has been treating your symptoms while ignoring the cause. You didn't know any better. Nobody told you. But now you know. And what you do with this information, whether you act on it or whether you close this video and go back to the way things were, that's your choice. I've given you everything I can give you in a video. The science. The foods. The protocols. The stories. The truth. The rest is up to you. Margaret did it. Robert did it. Tom and Barbara did it. James did it. Hundreds of my patients have done it. And you can do it too. Your body is waiting. Your blood vessels are waiting. They're ready to heal. They're ready to start producing nitric oxide again. They're ready to become flexible and responsive again. All they need is the fuel. And you know what that fuel is now. Go give it to them. I'll see you in the next video. Take care of yourself. Start your beetroot juice. Start your garlic. Start your greens. And watch what happens. If you found this video valuable, please hit that subscribe button. It helps this information reach more people who need it. Drop a comment below and tell me, are you going to try this system? What's your biggest obstacle? What are you most hopeful about? I read every comment and I'll respond to as many as I can. And remember, the link to join my free newsletter is in the description below. Detailed meal plans. Shopping lists. Recipes. Research updates. Everything you need to make this system work for you. This is information that could save your life. Or save the life of someone you love. Share it. Use it. And take control of your health starting tonight. I'll see you in the next video.